Hello again. Yes, as it turned out, I wasn't quite able to say everything I had wished to say in the preceding video, and so I must make the second video to wrap it up, hopefully. In the previous video I was talking a bit about negative expectations for Halloween Horror Nights 22. There was one thing I failed to mention, and it's been coming up recently. The buzz that's been going about, people have picked up on, is that there may not actually be an icon this year. Again, this is not something anybody knows. It's something I don't know, but this is something that has been supposed by various people, and rightfully or wrongfully, that there may not be an official icon of the sort that we have expected. Certainly not one created by A&D, perhaps one by marketing like Lady Luck last year, or perhaps it might be something presents Halloween Horror Nights 22, sort of thing we haven't seen since 2005. Take a look at my April Fool's gag and get an idea where I'm going with this. Again, none of that has been verified, and I don't know for a fact. I've not heard one way or another through any of my sources, but that's the sort of thing that's buzzing about right now. And again, I have to say, so what? Halloween Horror Nights was successful for 9 years without any icons, except the Crypt Keeper, if you want to call him one, and there's some debate over that. But, you know, before Jack was created, Halloween Horror Night was very successful for all those years leading up to 2000. And in 2004, there was no specific icon. Yeah, Jack, the caretaker director, and Eddie, who may or may not be an icon, depending on how you look at it, all were in a certain haunted house that year, but there was no icon for Halloween Horror Nights 14, just that, well, I'm wearing the shirt, you know. There was this mental patient, yeah, excuse me, and that was not a bad event at all. A lot of people really liked Halloween Horror Nights 14 in 2004. There's some excellent houses that year. Castle Vampire has been a fan favorite for years since then. So it doesn't mean that the event is going to suffer from lack of icon. If they choose not to do one this year, so what? If they're going to have something like the Crypt Keeper, you know, some sort of outside IP personality presenting the event, so what? The Crypt Keeper rocked in 2005, you know, and the event was fun that year too. A lot of us, old people, have some very fond memories of the event during the 1990s. It wasn't bad. They may not have had as many houses as they do this year, in recent years, but the event was pretty intense. You know, I don't think that is something that we need to worry about. If it doesn't have an icon, it's going to suck is rather a silly idea. You know, there are many great haunted attractions around the country, around the world. Some people like them better than Halloween Horror Nights. Ooh, I hope I didn't make a blasphemy there. And they don't always have icons. Icon does not make the event. It enhances the event, certainly, for a lot of people, and they're fun in a lot of ways. But, you know, it doesn't mean that it has to be. I just wanted to make that point. Now, getting back to what I was saying earlier about some of my critics and everything else, and what I said before, I am a fan of Halloween Horror Nights. I am no better a fan than anybody else. Yeah, there's nothing about me that makes me more worthy or more a better fan, a better person than anybody else. You know, I am no better a fan of Halloween Horror Nights than some 12-year-old kid who just today signed on as a member at Horror Night Nightmares for the very first time. You know? I just happen to be better known than a lot of you, and yes, I happen to be better informed. And am I worthy of this? not necessarily, but for better or worse, in the past couple of years, I have been very, very privileged, and I'm very grateful for the privilege of having received some advance information about the event. Last year, I knew a hell of a lot about what was going to happen. This time last year, I could have told you, oh yeah, there's a house in a haunted cemetery, there's a house that takes place in a field hospital, World War I, there's going to be a scare zone based on the 7 deadly sins. I could have told you an awful lot of stuff like that. I did tell some people, and they told them not to tell anyone, and they kept their mouths shut. They know who they are. But, but, I didn't do anything like I did this year, and partly because there was somebody else who was going to do that, and I waited for them and played along. And unfortunately, our mutual friend isn't going to be saying anything this year for various reasons that, again, I can't talk about. So I thought, well, you know, to spark interest and get a lot of provocative speculation, maybe I'll plant some clues. I had no idea, as I said in the previous video, how quickly people would figure shit out. And again, I'm thinking that, you know, 20/20 hindsight, maybe better to space it out over a longer period of time. But, oh well. But that doesn't make me any better than anybody else. You know, I'm just lucky that I got in this position where people have told me stuff. I want to make one thing crystal clear, a little bit of a disclaimer, if you will. I do not receive any information about the event ahead of time directly from anybody who works for Universal. I'll make that crystal clear. I have sources which I cannot reveal. I will protect them. And also, of course, they've taken me into their confidence, and I will not betray their trust. But none of them actually work for Universal. Therefore, if I was ever asked who in Universal is leaking information, I could honestly say, I don't know. And I cannot jeopardize anyone's position. That being said, somebody is leaking the information at Universal. Whoever it is, I've got no idea. They've never told me anything directly, and I cannot even begin to guess. So, just to make that clear, I just want to get that clear. Make that a public statement, if you will. Just in case anybody from Universal Security is watching my videos. Oh my goodness, there's a cat. Bob's the leak. Bob tells everything. Okay. Now, as I had talked about earlier, I've been getting some flack from a few very small minority of people. Okay, and I mentioned the sheep comment, which made me giggle. And sometimes people will you know, will just insult me. A couple of years ago, or maybe some kids thought it'd be funny to say things in comments on my videos like, "You're gay!" and "Ooh, you're old!" And you can't insult me by pointing out facts. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm gay. That's a fact. And I don't take that as an insult. Calling me old. Well, let's see. I'm pushing 50. I'm old enough to be most of you all's father, and some of you, if you're 13 years or younger, I'm old enough to be your grandfather, if you stop and do the math. And so, yeah, you can say I'm old, and that would be accurate. So that kind of insult doesn't bother me at all. Sometimes people will say weird things about him. One particularly nasty person, and oh, he said some very mean things about the majority of all of you watching this video as well. But I won't even get into that. But he has always been accusing me of posting all kinds of shit, none of which is true, and then going back and backtracking all of it. I'm not even sure I understand what the hell that means. If I say something that turns out to be wrong, I'm the first one to admit I was wrong. Is admitting you were wrong when you were wrong backtracking? If that's what he means, that makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, I would have to be a complete asshole if I was wrong, and then proven wrong, and insisting that I was right all along. That makes no sense. How could you do that? You know, it's like I say, the sea is not wet, and then I drown in it, and I come out and say, I told you it wasn't wet, it's still dry, with water pouring out of my, that makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. I don't do that. I don't know anyone who does, except for George Bush, and he's no longer president, so who cares? I have no idea what that means. If I discover new information, I bring that up. I'm the first one to admit I was wrong. I don't try to pretend I was right all along. I always say, yeah, I was wrong, I'm sorry. I was misinformed, or I made the wrong guess, or whatever. I admit it. That's just logical. But that's just, I don't even get that person. It's just very strange, and I've dismissed them entirely. Somebody has maybe the same person, I don't know, has recently posted a video on YouTube attacking me. It may very well be the same person. The user account was one that was registered on YouTube the very day of the video. That tells you it's someone, hiding behind a secret identity. Oh, I'll just start this account and post a nasty video and then run and hide. I don't approve of internet bullying. I don't approve of internet bullying, and so for that reason, I've blocked this person and YouTube, and I've removed the video from where it was attached to one of my videos. And I'm not going to say the name of the video or the name of the account. So far, last time I checked, only about 16 people had looked at it, including me. So only 15 other people, and it may be that 1 or 2 of the views on that video might be the person who posted it. I don't know. 4 people liked it, one of whom is actually the person who posted it, and possibly the other 3 as well, because that person may have multiple accounts after all. It has 1 dislike. Guess who put that one? But it was rather silly, really. Basically, it was very clumsily put together. Taking stills from my video, just still pictures from one of my videos with some rude comments. And the rude comments were pretty silly too. If you want to insult me, he calls me a nutcase, and then he says that I make shit up, and then says pretentious. Well, again, you can't insult me with facts. Nutcase? I'm completely out of my mind. I'm mad. I'm daft. I've admitted that from day one. Who doesn't know that? Pretentious? I used that very word to describe me on one of my very first posts, maybe my very first post, way back when I first joined the Vault in September of 2007. I've never pretended to be anything other than highly affected, eccentric, daft, and silly old loony. Yes, and you might as well call me a geek or a nerd. I mean, duh! Oh, good Lord. But make shit up might be a little bit unfair, because I usually don't make shit up. Except, of course, when I'm joking, and I make it pretty obvious when I do joke. You've all seen the videos that were jokes. And I make it clear that they were jokes after the fact. But you know what's weird? You know what's really, really weird about that? When I do make things up, somehow, strangely enough, they come true anyway. Often. Not everything, but quite a bit of it. I mean, way back on the Vault in 2009, like January 2009, when a kid called French Cowboy started a spec thread for 2009 way early. And I said, oh, classic. That means it's going to be about Greek mythology. I was just being silly because I thought it was too early for serious speculation. Then I predicted a house set in Hades. That very house came about in 2010. I've made other jokes, and you can go back and look at my April Fool's gags the past 2 years, and you can see a lot of stuff that I mentioned actually happened, from an Edgar Allan Poe house to a, Sinners, Orgy of the Damned, very similar to Seven. This year, some of the things I've said are proving to be more accurate than I had any intention of them being. Yeah, I may make shit up, but then it happens anyway! I'm cursed! How can you blame me for being a nutcase when that sort of shit happens?